Hello, my fellow X-Fighters, combat enthusiasts, survivors, and everyone who is interested in becoming a better warrior with this very dangerous tool. Now, this video is about close quarter combat with an axe, and I would like to begin it by dispelling a myth that an axe is not very effective in confined areas. That myth is based on a theory and spread by the general public who doesn't know and doesn't use axes in their daily life, unlike you and I. And again, this myth is based on a theory that axe requires a lot of room to fight with it. It requires a lot of amplitude, and thus whenever you try to do a strike with an axe, you hit a wall, and thus you cannot achieve a very powerful blow against your enemy with such a weapon. Again, that is all only in theory. In practice, if you know how to use this tool, if you know the right techniques, how to use an axe, especially in close quarter combat or in any type of environment that you find yourself in, then you're not only able to surprise your opponent, but you have a massive advantage against or over your enemy. So in this video, close quarter combat is the subject. Let me show you how to use an axe in close quarter and how you can become a much more effective warrior when you know these techniques and when you have some sort of a clear strategy in your mind how you would engage just about any opponent in a confined area. Let's begin. All right, before entering any type of confined area such as a building and engaging somebody in close quarter combat, you need to hold the axe properly. In my humble opinion, the way to hold an axe before you enter any type of a building is with two hands, if the means allow, of course. Various situations demand various things from you. Sometimes it's not possible to hold the axe with two hands, but if it is possible, hold it again with two hands. And here's why. And hold it specifically in this way. One hand at the very bottom of the handle, one hand at the neck of the axe at the very top of the handle. That again is to achieve the following. With each hand you can do very effective strikes and the most effective strikes in a confined area. So when you're holding the axe at the very bottom, this allows you to do a strike that will keep your opponent at distance, at bay. So this type of strike allows you, this strike is permitted when you hold the axe at the very bottom. At the same time, if the opponent wants to get up close and personal with you, this is where it is great to hold the axe by its neck, thus shortening the length of the axe where you can engage now your opponent at close distance. Holding the axe by the middle or in the middle of the handle is not as effective, at least in my opinion. But that is the grip that you should have whenever you are entering a building. Once you have entered the building and you've spotted an opponent and you're about to engage, your sequence of events, sequence of actions, and the strategy that you should be implementing, at least the general strategy that I recommend to everyone, because your strategy will always change based on the situation, based on your environment, and based on your opponent, how they are armed. But the strategy again is as follows. First, you want to keep your opponent at bay and as far as possible, and you want to strike your opponent while they are as far away from you as possible. So what you do is, again, by holding the axe at the very bottom, you strike the opponent with a long distance jab with an axe. Because the nose of the axe, or the proper term I believe is the toe, is very sharp, and all axes obviously have them, even the axes that are kind of sanded or cut down. Still, when you strike with an axe, when you strike from the bottom up, and this is the way you should do this type of strike, and your hands are already perfectly positioned furthermore to do this type of strike, so your hand is usually the one that is holding axe at the bottom is lower itself, while the one that is holding it at the top is a bit higher. So all you need to do is basically straighten your hand that is holding the axe at the bottom, straighten it in a upward kind of 40-degree direction. Basically, you're aiming at your opponent, at their neck and at their head, all the areas that are not covered with any type of armor or thick clothing. So this is what you do. You achieve this type of strike very quickly, very fast, and this is the first strike you do. So strike one, I recommend striking twice, and obviously you can strike as many times as it is necessary, but after the second strike, this is the next step that I recommend you do. You pull the axe back, allowing it to slide. So again, you are holding it at the end of this motion by the neck. And here's why. So if you did the first strike to keep the opponent at bay, and it works. So you do one strike, twice, or how many strikes you wish, and the opponent now got scared or has slowed down and they're not charging towards you. Then your next best course of action is again to bring the axe back, grab it by its neck, and then, as you've seen in my previous videos, if you haven't watched that video talks about how you can throw just about any axe with fairly good accuracy and have it actually go into your target by its blade rather than by its handle or the dull end. And you can do that again by throwing the axe while holding at the neck. And obviously, in close distances, this becomes very effective and very dangerous. So again, you do not wish to engage your opponent, allow them to come close and do any type of harm to you. So you're pushing them away, striking them. If these do not work, bring the axe back and throw it at your opponent. And then engage in close hand-to-hand combat. If the opponent is charging towards you and it is not very advantageous to throw the axe, or you have no time to throw the axe, you still want to bring in the axe back and grab it by its handle, because this is where close quarter combat with an axe begins. This is up close and personal, and you do not want to be holding this axe at the very bottom, because that requires a great deal of amplitude to do any type of strike. As soon as you grab it by its neck at the very top, then this shortens the axe for you, and now you're working in your immediate distance and proximity where the actual struggle with either two-legged opponent, with any type of animal or a creature, or even with a zombie, where it will begin. But this is the proximity that you have to engage your opponent now at. It's very unfortunate. Once you get to this point, expect injury, expect serious damage towards you, and you actually might suffer even deadly blows, even if you win the fight. This is just the reality. Once the opponent gets that close, you are now fighting for your survival. This is it. So again, you want to bring the axe in, just one strike, two strikes, brought the axe in, and now if you can't throw it, you are now engaging your opponent. Once you brought the axe in, you basically do the very standard strike. As you can see, I'm in very close quarters, and because I'm holding the axe by its neck, it allows me to do this strike very effectively. Now, everything that I am showing you is very fluid and very kind of sequential. Once you've done this strike right here, look what's happening. Your handle of the axe is now pointing towards your other hand. So use this ability, because your axe is down, your handle is now pointing towards, again, your other free hand. So grab it, and then this is a very effective strike that you can do with an axe, is in with full force, again, with the nose of the axe, with its sharp, pointy edge, thrust it towards your opponent. So again, you push, bring it back, strike, and then thrust it back to your opponent, and this will push them away, this will slash them, this will penetrate pretty much short of body armor, this will go through clothing. This will do a serious blow to your enemy. May not be the deadliest blow, but it will be very effective. And once you've done that, you can do it again. So once you have the axe in your two hands again, it becomes a very powerful move and a very dangerous one that you can do. So you're doing basically now again these type of strikes. And once you've done that strike once or twice, again, your axe is at the top. So you can once again do a chopping motion with the axe. You strike, you push, you strike. That is how you fight in close quarter combat with an axe, but there's more things you can do. So some of the other moves that you can do while you're holding the axe in two hands, and you should practice, is basically swinging it while pretty much guiding where you want the axe to go with the hand that is holding it by its neck, and the hand that is holding it at the bottom is basically stabilizing it and directing this handle so it doesn't hit you, doesn't get caught on your clothing. So you're basically directing it and adding force whenever is necessary. So if you did a strike, you need to return it, and you returned it, and you can again add a lot of force to this axe. So in close quarter combat, because you do not have the ability to use the axe in its traditional form, basically not using a lot of strength, but allowing it just basically with the weight of the axe head itself to chop and penetrate the defenses of your opponent, because you in close quarter combat do not have that amplitude. You're now pushing it basically. You're using two hands and the thrust of your body. If you learn karate, you can add that twist with and straightening of your leg. So you can do a lot of these type of strikes with an axe again. That is your tools, your techniques, your survival method should you encounter your opponent at very close quarter combat. And as you can see, they are very effective. Now, another thing you can do with an axe is make it an extension of your fist. So again, you're holding it by its neck. What you can do is literally start punching the opponent, your enemy, with the axe, just with its very sharp part, and this becomes deadly. This, if you do it effectively, you will simply neutralize your opponent very quickly, even if they are going towards you with a knife or something that also is deadly towards you. And overall, practice combining it. So this is again what it looks like. You push the opponent away, push the opponent away, push him away, bring the axe back, strike, then push him away. Maybe you want to push him away twice, counter strike, engage from various angles, however you wish, and bring the axe back. If they're still alive, maybe you can throw it if they're running away. And yeah, now you're fired up. Maybe you wish to make sure they do not turn around and get back at you, so you can throw the axe. And this is basically how you engage an enemy in close quarter combat. So let's put it all together, and once again, let me show you what you have seen in the beginning of this video. Alright, as a bonus to all of you who watched this video to the very end, I have a trade secret that I wish to share with all of you. So, on every axe that we modify and assemble, we have a cap at the very bottom of the axe handle and a little cap at the very top. What do they do, you wonder? So, let's take the bottom cap off. Inside it, there is a spike, a very powerful spike. Man, Let's take the top cap off. You screw it off. All of this you should obviously do before going into an area or a building or a confined space where you may need it. Now let's screw the spike in to the top of the axe, gently and very easily. Once you've done that, this becomes a very powerful weapon. You basically are supercharging your axe because now you see how much more effective all your strikes with an axe will be it a strike with one hand, be it with two hands. This becomes a very powerful weapon. It becomes an axe that has been just supercharged. But some of you may say, well, what if the spike breaks? If it breaks and you are able to take the little stump out, then you can do the following. Or if you lose the spike, for example, as I have done on many occasions now. If it breaks and you can't take it out, well, you use the axe in its standard form, the way I just showed you. But if you can't take it out, then all you need to do is take a fairly strong stick, sharpen it, and what you can do is you can insert it, screw it in, and it will become a one-time spike. It will not be used for a prolonged period of time, but for a single very effective strike, it adds that extra ability to the axe. Then it breaks and you engage the opponent in a standard way. But the fact that you can insert just about any type of fairly strong stick that is sharpened and you can use it again as a spear gives you a massive advantage over your opponent. And if it goes into your opponent and it stays there, so it breaks off and stays in your opponent, it stays in the creature or an animal you've been fighting, it continues to damage them while they are trying to engage you. So they have to take pause, either take it out or continue to attack you with the spike in them. So that is a bonus for all of you to consider. So this is the end. Thank you for watching. I don't say it often enough, but once again, practice all of your techniques in a very safe way. Remember that any type of engagement with an axe involves the law, so don't break it. Stay within the limits of the law and use all of these techniques for the purposes of either defending your life, defending your honor, no, just kidding, just defending your life, or protecting somebody who's being harmed by criminals or an oppressive regime for that matter. But stay within the law. All of this is intended for good people who wish to use good axes in a good way. Again, be smart and do not break the law. Can't stress that enough. Take care until next video. Bye-bye.